Hello, this is Laurel Van Fossen back with another writing workshop from the Creative Writing Meetup that happens every week in Altspace. And you can find out more information at altvr.com or on our Discord at discord.me/writingvr. We've been doing a whole series of workshops, and I just want to tell you a little bit about the group and then get on with the workshop subject for this past week that we did. So our Creative Writing Meetup meets weekly in AltspaceVR. You can find more information on our Discord. And we create a supportive and creative environment for writers in Altspace and anyone who'd like to join us. It's totally free. Altspace is free. We'd love to have you join us. You can log in through 2D on a Windows computer, through your desktop computer or laptop. You can come in as long as it supports the requirements of AltspaceVR, or you can come in VR, and we have a great deal of fun. We write in the real world and we share in VR because it's hard to write in VR, but we'd love to have you join us. We've been working on a series of workshops that explore characters and world building. It's been very fascinating. We've come up with these basic kind of goals that characters define the world by their perspective and their experiences. So as you write, you have to take that in consideration. The characters show us the world around them and what they see. And the descriptions represent the character's emotional state, their relationships, their attitudes, and their beliefs. And that's part of your writing goal with your characters is we need to know what they're thinking, how they're doing, and how they feel about what's going on around them in that world. Because what they sense tells us more about them and the story. So it's about you show the world by keeping us informed through their perspective. Makes sense? I hope so. And when it comes to creating believable characters, our group has come up with this basic guidelines. You need to define the character's wants, needs, goals, and motivations. You have to understand that your characters have flaws and inconsistencies. They may say one thing and do another. Characters can be predictably unpredictable as well. And characters need to change over time. They need to evolve. They can evolve to a higher plane. They can evolve to a lower one, but they change over time. And we need to make sure that we don't create static characters. And our characters need those distinctive voices and personalities. And we've been exploring that over the last few weeks. Today we're working on character motives. Now, whenever anything bad happens, when mass killing, when it's they find a bunch of bodies down in the basement or whatever, there's always people around who say, "Oh, he was just always such a nice, polite, quiet person." There's always motives. There's always amazing things bubbling underneath the surface of your characters, especially fascinating characters. We're going to explore a little bit of trying to understand what motivates your characters. And we had some fantastic discussions on this. We have some of the most amazing people. So I classify this kind of weak categorization, very weak, trust me, very weak categorization to keep things simple. We talked about what are some of the big secrets that our characters can have. So some of the big secrets we came up with was theft, stealing things, embezzling. There's big embezzling and then there's little embezzling, but little theft, little stealing, taking the, shoplifting and things like that. But those tend to be big secrets because they're repeated behavior most of the time. Somebody just doesn't embezzle because they think they can. They have something in their moral fiber that led to that decision. So that's a bigger secret that they carry with. Oh, sex and pregnancy and hiding the kids and adopting and surrogacy and all the stuff wrapped around in that. Drugs, hidden drugs, not just for the character, but often the people in and around the character. So maybe your character is hiding the fact that they're a successful businesswoman and yet their daughter is hooked on drugs, and this is the secret battle that they have. So they're trying to hide that to protect their reputation. So there's layers to this. Mental health issues, that's a big one. We spent a lot of time talking about the different mental health issues that people hide, including hiding bipolar or schizophrenia or really complicated things, but little things, hiding depression. That always saying, well, I'm fine, everything's good. And the burden of having some form of mental health issue and keeping that secret to protect whatever it is that the character is trying to protect, or having a spouse or a family member or someone else with mental health and trying to hide that. We used to spend a lot of energy hiding those things, and characters still do. Illegal activities, many, many things around that one. And sexual identity and preference. We still live in a world and society, mixed societies, where your sexual identity and your sexual preference and gender are complicated. And many people spend a tremendous amount of time hiding it, disguising it, or being something they aren't. So that's what we classified as the big, as in life-changing, big, illegal type, motives that may move a character either through your story or be an underlying characteristic of your story. Many layers. Now, we looked at small, not as in demeaning, but just lesser legal kind of motives that a character may have. And survivor and PTSD was a big one, because that is still has a lot of shame associated with it. And yet it just happens. It's been happening for thousands of years, but there's still, we don't talk about Uncle Harry, he hangs out in the garage. We just don't talk about him very much because he's just doing his thing. Gets angry quite often, but we just ignore him and it's all good. We're always hiding these things. And your characters may be hiding the survivor mentality or the guilt associated with being a survivor. That's another one. Guilt is a big one, where they're carrying along guilt for whatever it happens to be. Fame, awards, and riches. that was fun conversation. What is your character pretending to be somebody they're not, or having something they're not? Are they pretend to be rich when they're really on, living off of welfare? Or are they, or you always have the stories of the prince or the king or the princess or queen, or whoever who pretends to be a peasant and goes off to meet the normal people. And of course they fall in love, and there's all that thing. So this hiding your identity and hiding who you are, we classify it as the smaller secrets. Something to think about with your characters. White lies are also part of the things that direct characters' motives and affect how they move through their world. What white lies are they told? Do they lie about their age, their income or financial state, their heritage, their ethnicity, where they're from? Where they're from is fascinating, because people judge people from where they're from. And sometimes that from place is clouded because someone may have been born somewhere that has a great deal of judgment attached to it, and then they moved away by the time they were like 6 months old. But people still say, where are you from? Where were you born? Where were you born? And they'll say, well, I was born in X. And they go, oh, you're one of those. And it's like, yeah, that place had no impact on this person's life, but maybe it did. So birthplace has a lot of judgment associated with it. And maybe your character is living with that association or trying to fight against it as part of their motives. And education. A lot of lying about education. A lot of too much, too little, too late, too whatever it is. And often people try to either hide or boast about their intelligence level and their learning and whatever. I've just got street learning. That's what it is. And this helps to influence our characters' motives and their actions that they take. It's an influencer. Then there's these, what we classified as the deeper purpose motives, what really directs people. And we came up with confidence, self-confidence, lack of self-confidence, overconfidence. Confidence is a that it's amazing how you can have some characters, they will bungee jump, fearless. And yet, if they say a kitty cat, they'll freak out. So confidence is a complicated thing. Imposter syndrome. We had a great discussion on this. Imposter syndrome is when people feel they're not worthy to be in the position that they are in. They feel like they're not good enough. So you may have a teacher who feels like, even though they may have all the degrees, they may even have a PhD, they really don't feel like they are worthy of being called a teacher. They don't feel like they deserve the position. It's a very complicated, it's been around for a very, very long time, but it's only recently actually had a name put on it. But it's when ego is in conflict and your character actually feels like what, the honors they have or the position they're in is fake, and they feel like they're faking it, that they're not really real. And that creates some fascinating characters, and it changes their motivation and how they move. Subterfuge, deceit, false impressions, often associated with spying or lying or cheating, or just people pretending to be something that they aren't. They don't have any issue about it, but they are not that. And doing things for gain. This was also a great discussion. So motivation for gain. That could be seducing someone. Let's find us a rich man. We're going to marry us a rich man or a rich woman and have our life be all nice and cozy. Or trying to climb the executive, the ladder and up to gain something, to find value, to really look for some form of gain, be it financial, be it confidence, be it ego, be it whatever it happens to be, doing something in order to get something instead of having an altruistic perspective on the world. So these were wonderful motivation examples. So what we did was we did a quick workshop, interactive workshop, where we asked, what is this character afraid of? What are they scared of? What are they really, really scared of? What's their base fear? And it was difficult to actually get down to the base fear. People kept wanting to add to the story. Well, they're doing this because of this. It's like, no. What are they afraid of? What's really driving that motivation? And be aware that when you're pushing and shoving your characters around on the page and throughout all of your different pages, that you really understand what is their base fear. What are they, where's their shame? Do they have an inner dread, a fear of something's going to happen, something's going to break? I know people who just honestly, they really think that no matter what they touch, it's going to break and fall apart. Every relationship they're ever in is going to blow up in their face. There's that inner dread. Maybe they're really reliant on peer pressure and they just want to go along with the crowd because they're afraid of making an independent decision. Maybe they're afraid of responsibility, or their fear is that they have to be responsible for everything. If they're not, it just doesn't work. Their fear is they're going to lose that control if they're not responsible, or they just don't want to be responsible, period. Fear of failure, very common. All the phobias that are out there. There are so many phobias that drive people, and they fight to overcome it, but they're also motivated by those phobias and by those anxieties. Guilt is always there. That feeling of not being worthy, and total incompetence. Maybe that's your character's underlying things. They really believe that no matter what they touch, not only will it break, but it's going to fall apart, and nobody's going to be able to, it's not going to be worthy enough, it's not going to be good enough. That they really don't know what they're talking about. So, that can be fun to play with. And fear of isolation, separation, codependence, the psychological familyness, being outside the tribe, being outside the community, that is huge. Some people thrive in that, but some characters, they need to have an other as part of their connection with the world. So what's their fear? So our assignment in the workshop, in yours right now, if you care to accept it, it'll, don't worry, you have more than 6 seconds before it goes up in smoke. You're presented with a character story, and I want you to identify the motives. You want to look at the big secret, the small secrets, the white lies, the deeper purpose, and the fears. So you can hit pause at any time and do this on your own. So a woman steals a wedding dress for her own wedding. Hit pause now, and you can work on it. When we worked on it as a group, someone said they stole the wedding dress from their best friend who was getting married on the same day. So they added a little bit of tension to the story. They stole it because it was a one of a kind, and they won it, and they had a fight over it, and the friend got it, so then she had to steal it back for her own wedding. So what was the big secret, the small secret, the white lies, the deeper purpose? What was the fear? Oh, we had so many of them. I'm going to let you come up with your own. Wife plans revenge for husband having an affair. So it's not about the husband. He's got his own thing. This is about the wife planning revenge. What's her motivation? What's the big secret, small secret, white lies, deeper purpose, and fear? Go ahead and hit pause. In our discussion, this went all over the map. But I want you to think about what really is motivating her for revenge. Why is she choosing revenge? Why not acceptance? What really is pushing her? And see what you come up with, where your creativity lies. Okay, people think he is kind and sensitive, but he lies about everything. Ooh, you can hit pause. I just so want to know what was the big secret, the small secret, the white lies, the deeper purpose, and what was the base fear in this one. So join our Discord and let us know, because this is a good one. So again, when you're creating believable characters, you need to define the character's wants, needs, goals, and motivation. And so consider these as examples. And realize that characters have flaws and inconsistencies, and you want to make sure that you're not blatantly putting them out there. But when you're writing these characters, let some of this come out. It just makes deeper, richer characters when you show us that they're not perfect in some way, and allow them to change and evolve. It doesn't matter, good, bad, different. They need to change over time because they need to be challenged. Their motivations are one thing, but that's a future workshop. You know, how does the other characters challenge their thinking, challenge that motivation, challenge those fears, and push them out of their comfort zone? Preview. All right, and then make sure you give those characters the distinctive voices and personalities. This has been a very quick workshop with the Creative Writing Meetup that meets right now on Tuesdays in AltspaceVR. We change that every once in a great while, but we've been meeting on Tuesdays. You can find out more about us at discord.me/writingvr. This is Laurel of the Creative Writing Meetup. We'll see you later. Keep writing.